And now we're streaming live on YouTube. Good morning, everybody. I'm so grateful to have you here. Good morning, Mandy. Good to see you, my friend.
Good morning, Lynn. Good morning, everyone. It's lovely to be here. Thank you.
Oh, my goodness. So let's just start with a little. I'd just like to pray us in. Feeling very full of life and love and just brilliant hope, brilliantly lit right now. I am here only to be truly helpful, and I'm here to represent Him who sent me. I don't have to worry about what to say or what to do because He who sent me will direct me. I'm content to be wherever He wishes, knowing He goes there with me, and I'm healed as I let Him teach me to heal. Amen. All right. So, good morning, Mandy. You got anything you'd like to share with us?
Well, I just love that prayer. I love every word of that prayer. So thank you. It's a lovely way to begin, Lynn. Thank you. So great to see you all. And we've chosen a poem, haven't we? 5 minutes.
Yes, we have. And we didn't ask, do you want to read it first? I think that would be the best for you to.
I love to hear you read it. So I don't know. We read it twice, don't we? We have it at the beginning and at the end. So which one would you like to do, Lynn?
I would like, actually, I think I would like for you to read it first because you you kind of open us up to the deeper meaning of it, and then I will read it the last.
Okay, sounds good.
You all see it?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Polish my glasses.
So did you want me to read this?
Are you going to screen share it?
Oh, I thought I was screen sharing. Okay.
I see it. Do you not see it?
Okay, let's
don't worry. It's me that's not seeing it. I've got the book right here. I mean, I
well,
can
here,
read.
let's try it again. Let's try it again.
A second ago.
Okay.
There it is.
Yeah. Now I see it. Yeah.
Well, that was on purpose. I love that.
So I've forgotten, what did we say? I'm reading it now, am I?
You're going to read it now, and then
Yeah.
after we contemplate it and talk about it, I'll read it again. And then we have another poem that we're going to read at the end as a closure. So
okay, so thank you all so much. So this one's called You Are Hollow. It's nice for me because when I come back, haven't seen these for quite a while, so it's really lovely to see them. Okay. You think you are a person with a personality, but actually you're hollow. That's the reality. A false identity, echoing thoughts and projections of false memories not lived, just mental perceptions. Oops, it's just gone, Lynn. Sorry, I'm in the firstborn here. Oh, that's it. Thank you. I'll just say that again. A false identity, echoing thoughts and projections of false memories not lived, just mental perceptions. If you strip away all your ideas of who you think you are, you'll see just a hologram, an invisible star that looks so real from far enough away, but seen up close, an illusion, a display. So, who are you really? Who gets angry or feels sad or becomes elated? Just who is it who feels glad? When you drop everything away, all descriptions and roles you play of who you think you are in your mind, but now leaving all memories behind, next page, there's no one, just infinite expanse acting out a human dance as you walk blindly in a trance, believing every circumstance. But how to break this hypnotic spell? Live your life in parallel. Consciously witness all you're doing and saying without judgment. Notice how you're conveying your interactions and all your distractions. Watch your addiction to the internal conversation, which is full of useless information. But parallel living isn't living in duality. Rather, it's an expansion into active neutrality. Yet, this neutral awareness is unlimited bliss. Just 1 second's enough to feel the kiss of love, true love, which constitutes your soul. To live as this light is your purpose, your role. Thank you, Lynn, for screen sharing that. Thank you. I think you muted.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just taking a moment. I'm sorry. I forgot I was even doing that and sitting here with my eyes closed listening to you.
Oh. Oh.
It's like I've just gone out of time and
Oh, that's
space here.
lovely. That's lovely. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
Because when,
goodness.
when when you read it at the end of today, you could go even much slower than that, so that we've got real time to consider the questions, you know. This time I'm just sort of reading it like a sort of an overview, you see.
So it's just such a beautiful I mean the thought that we're actually hollow, and it makes me think of the headless way, and just realizing that the only face I see is yours, not mine ever. um, and that's it's all a story of false identity, false memories, just ideas and thoughts. And so it's so um, beautiful to know that, excuse me, because all the thoughts and fears, the anguish, the idea of separation from my brothers who, I mean, seriously, I feel that emptiness of that separation, and wanting so much to be close to everyone. So remembering that this person who has all of these thoughts and ideas is just a part that I'm playing. And and if I believe so much that it's what I am, that's what keeps me separate from my brothers, because I'm believing that I'm an individual with an individual point of view, an individual mind, and individual memories, all of these things that I cling to, because I think that that's what I am. But if I recognize that I was none of those things, and I was this, as it says here, leaving all memories. When you drop everything away of all descriptions and roles you play, of who you think you are in your mind, but now leaving all memories, there's no one, just infinite expanse, acting out a human dance as you walk blindly in a trance, believing every circumstance. But how to break this hypnotic spell? Live your life in parallel. And that's it. It's just coming to where I'm watching and witnessing the life that seems to be going on here, and seeing all the ways that, for me, it's all the ways that I use to separate myself from others, make myself an individual. And when I recognize that I'm not that individual, I I I'm just I'm having a conversation with myself, as you say here. And it's actually the goal is to just be the neutral, natural self that I am, the natural self that I am. And being the natural self that I am, I'm not the opinions of my ego. I'm I'm not any of those things. I'm just the love that I am. And to live as this light is your purpose, your role.
Yeah, you mentioned the headless way. I wrote a poem that I put up on Facebook a few days ago about that, because I'm such a fan of Douglas Harding, who wrote The Headless Way, who had that awakening about, he just took his head off. He was in the Himalayas, wasn't he? And he just realized that he can't see his own face. So therefore his face was the Himalayas. He was that infinite space. And that when he looks at other people, he can't see his own face. He only sees the person's face he's talking to. That's his face now. And so that means that he is completely hollow. And then he's presented with the appearance of somebody. He's got that face in front of him, and now that's his face. And if you've got somebody in front of you, you realize, because you can't see your own face, you can only see their face. You just cherish it. You wouldn't ever want to harm it or hurt it or offend it. You just love it because it's your face, even if it's just for that moment. So the thing about being hollow is really the same thing, because like we are saying the other week, you can't see yourself in a dream. You are a hollow space, actually. You're a hologram. So yeah, everything that you said, actually. Yeah.
It's just so funny to me that until we had some sort of like, I mean, there people would actually maybe see themselves in a reflection in water or something, but until, not that long ago, human beings had no idea what they look like.
That's right.
They didn't have mirrors. There wasn't some way for me to know that, you know, I look like this. And so all I would know is what I saw outside of me. And, you know, unless, you know, people are telling you, oh, you look like your mother. And so you look at your mother and go, okay, that's how I look. Or you look like your dad. You look at your dad and say, okay, that's how I look. But I have no idea how I look, except for what other people reflect to me about how I look. So it hasn't been that long that the general public even has had the ability to see themselves, what they actually look like on a daily basis or regular. Now everywhere you go, you know, you go, you know, into a store or walk along a street in the city, you see your reflection everywhere. Everywhere you look, you see your, you know, I can get up and walk, you know, into another room and there I am, big and, you know, big and bright on the mirror in the bathroom. And so I have come to believe that this is what I look like and who I am because that's been reinforced for me. And something that I like to do with, you know, people, if I'm having some sort of a therapy, counseling, whatever, or workshop with them, is ask people to do like a mirror fast and just put like a towel or a blanket or something over your mirrors so that you don't see your face all day long and you don't see your face at all. And it shifts a person. You know, right now I can see my face. I'm more conscious of how I look than I've ever been in my life because of Zoom and seeing myself. And I had to make it so that it looked at me like I was looking in the mirror because I looked strange to myself when it was not that way. But that's because now I've identified with this person that I see, but in reality, I don't. I
Could
don't.
I just ask you to take it off screen share because I would like to see you. I can't see you properly. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah,
Yeah,
carry on because it's such a good point. Just had this conversation with somebody yesterday about how nobody had mirrors until recently. Yes, exactly what you were saying. Funny, I had the same conversation.
that's very strange.
Yeah.
I've never heard anybody really talk about that before.
No,
So
I had this exact conversation about how only, very recently did people ever even have mirrors. And now they do these selfies all the time. People get obsessed with how they look. But even when you look in the mirror or I look in the mirror, we're still only looking at it from our perception. You know how you can show somebody a shade of blue or purple, and some people will say that's definitely blue, and some people say that's definitely purple. So you've got that perception just on the most basic one of color. And then you've got the perception about what you perceive as attractive or not attractive, or your idea of the shape of an eye or the shape of a cheekbone might be one way, and somebody else's idea of what's beautiful is another way. So even when you look in a mirror, it's you're not seeing the truth at all. So yeah, it's all back to front. We have to turn that outward camera all the way back in, like in the Douglas Harding experiment, when you point your finger, back at yourself, there is infinite space because you can't see your own face. So yeah, it's very interesting, but I don't want to talk too much.
oh no, my goodness, I love to hear it. And anybody else has any thoughts or ideas they'd like to share? Dove, please go ahead.
I just want to say I was energized when you went back to seeing each other. Before I had very low energy. As soon as we came back to seeing each other's faces, I was highly energized. I mean, it's like life came back. I don't know what that means other than that was my experience.
I experienced the same, and uh, I mean, I was feeling pretty energized before, but then so happy to see everybody's faces. again, or just your whole being, because this is my face. This that you see around me, everything, this is my face. You look at this, you know, this is Lynn. Lynn has her goddesses all around her. Lynn has her angels. Lynn has her giraffes. Lynn has her, colors, and that's when you look at this. This is how I look wherever I am. Because I mean, you wouldn't see all these things where if I was standing in the street corner, but when you looked at me, everything around me you would see is me too, is what I experience myself as in the world. That connection, that's what I was really thinking or looking at, is that connection that we have. And so of course when we see each other, we're our hearts light up. We are energized because of, how could we not be? How could you not be? I would love to. Oh, Rafi, please go ahead, my friend.
Make it a point to stop seeing people as people.
Get closer to your mic, Rafi.
Oh, is that better?
Yeah, it's still kind of muffled.
Really? That's
Oh,
strange.
there. Wow, that was much better.
Wow,
When you,
I hope
yeah.
nothing happened. Okay. I make it a point to stop seeing people as individuals and start seeing everyone as the divine light, as love. And if I'm seeing them as the divine light, and there is only one divine light, there is only one the oneness, then I'm seeing that's what is, instead of what an ego judgment or interpretation of what is out there. If I'm seeing you as a person, then that's an interpretation. That's a judgment. If I'm seeing you as a divine light, as love, as the reality of infinite, you just said it before, that divine light, then that's reality. And then there is no you and me, there is only that. And I try to practice that all day long. And so far, so good. It's working. It works. It works. It works. It works. And then I don't get. Then I don't have to say this is that she is she or he or him or her, because then there is not. It's just it. That is the divine. It is reality. I'm just rambling on, but that's what it is.
Yeah, yeah, thank you, thank you, Rafi. And I think it depends on our experience of actually seeing that we're just playing a part and that others around us are just playing a part, and they're not no one is actually doing anything at all. Um, and we look at them, we think, that they're doing things, but really they're not at all. They're just being, and the activity that goes on is is impersonal. There is nothing real about it. And Arafi, of all people, I would think, and I'm just saying this in general, you probably have a great understanding of that because you're an actor and you're used to being around people playing parts. And you can tell there's a much difference between the person and the part that they play.
Right,
And
true.
and yourself and the part that you play, because you played some pretty crazy characters.
Well, that playing those characters is an education in itself. In fact, that's where I got a great deal of my education, because as you're playing characters, you're playing all of what you is written that they believe and how they express themselves. And but it's when somebody says cut or the curtain closes, it's over. And it wasn't real in the first place. The all of those things, those interpretations, has nothing to do with the infinite oneness that is our reality. And that's The rest of this is just a projection on the screen of that reality. And, you turn the projector off and there's none of that. And there's only the reality. And the reality has nothing to do with individuals, people, places, things, characters, objects, thoughts, beliefs, data, information. Nothing to do with any of that. All of that stuff. The other day, I actually saw this body sitting over to the side and watched it and thought, okay, that's for a long time who you thought you were. I don't know how long it lasted, but there was no identification with it. It was that's what he thinks he is. And that revelation, that non-identification with this body, individual body, became the soul reality. So
Yeah, and if you've had those kind of experiences of being not your body and seeing your body, it's kind of easy to remember that I'm not really this, but it's very pervasive. The idea of the body, and the idea of the body is really the idea of death, the eventuality of it. So if we think that that's what we are, that's our circumstance. Joni, please go ahead. Oh, do you want to say something else, Rafi?
it's the basis of all groundless fears, the baseless fears. Well, fear, because once you realize that there is no body, where would the fear come from? There is no fear.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Rafi. Joni, please go ahead.
Well, I'm listening to you, and one of the things that I love so much about this book is as Mandi and I have shared, is she's really the bridge for me to practicality. I'm still, I have to walk in the world. I'm in the world. I'm not of the world. So in specific to this poem, the hollow, that reminds me I'm a channel. We say every day in Speakeasy or in Miracles Live that I'm a channel. I'm a channel for God's will, the is-ness, number one. Number two, when we talk about the vehicle, or that we're not a body. And if I see myself like I see my car, I never go out and say hi Joni to the car. It's like, I'm pretty sure it's just a vehicle. And in that vehicle, which I do maintain and take care of, it gets me to where I need to go. And when I have a relationship more and more with the divine, by remembering who I really am in the is-ness, then these outer things or forms become the reflection back that Dove talks about, the triggers or whatever, for me to remember that I'm really just is-ness. And in that is-ness, I get out of my ego and I think of, oh, well, what's my purpose here? Oh, besides going from A to B, it's God's will in this moment. I can more comfortably, thanks to this bridge, ask next, what is mine to do? Where would you have me go? How can I be most helpful in God's will? And not, and by petting that ego, which has its purpose, too, I can be the hollow, and I almost like it. And when I walk alongside, which, I get in the driver's seats, but I could still be driving that vehicle and ask God, have a conversation with God, and see that my purpose is, again, for this vehicle and driving where I'm going next is to represent him who sent me. And so I love these poems because they help bridge the practical, because I get so heady that is thinking about the metaphysics or the lessons, that I forget them. And then I go right back to the old habits and addictions. And I don't want to do that anymore. When I see myself as the awareness and use these, walk alongside my vehicle, or use the hollow, for God's purpose, then it gets more practical for me, and I appreciate that the most. And Mandi, I do have news. Mandi is coming to Speakeasy in the fall, and so we're looking forward to that, because we all are looking for ways to practice it. And the more I practice and embody it, the more I can be in the world and not of the world. Pass.
That's beautifully shared. Thank you so much, Joni. Thank you.
Yeah, wow, yeah, thank you so much, Joni. And oh, I'm excited Mandy's getting connected up with the Speakeasy group too. So because there's another one of our homes, and that's we bridge them all together. It's so beautiful. I was gonna say, Joni, as you were speaking, that you were talking about your car, you were talking about, and I realized when you said that, my car is a part of me too. If someone stole my car and trashed my car, I would be upset. I would feel personally injured by that, and I feel a sense of loss and a sense of um hopelessness or helplessness, because a part of me has been disrupted in that way. It's the same as if, my house burned down, or my dog died, or, all in my. So that's why, when I'm looking at the world and looking at uh, my world, I'm realizing that every bit of it is me. That's just being projected out here. Me, the thoughts, the mind, the person, not the reality, but just the ego, I guess you would say, of Lynn. It's just projected here, everywhere, and but it's also the same thing as the Holy Spirit, because God is in everything. So the difference being, uh, I can choose to either see it as belonging to me and therefore capable of causing me harm, because anything in this world that you cherish is going to hurt you eventually. It can and it will. But the um, uh, the reality of me sees all these things as just reflections of my thoughts and reflections of who and what I think I am. So it's not a bad thing to look and say, I think I'm my car. But to look at and recognize that I do think I'm my car. And therefore, that's why I'm confused about who I am, because I think I'm everything that I see, and not realizing that everything I see is me projected out into whatever it is. Anyway, Dove has his hand up, and so does Mandi. Go ahead, Dove.
Well, okay. I just wanted to
Unknown caller.
go ahead, Mandy. I have a call. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, oh yeah. Well, so I'm in something called the Royal Voluntary Service, and I befriend older people that are on their own, quite a lot older people, and so inevitably I see them just before their passing. Or so I went to see a lady on Saturday in hospital, and it always intrigues me, because I've seen this a number of times, that when you what I'm trying to say is that when I saw her, I'd only seen her last week in her home, and that was that lady, Audrey. Yeah, that was Audrey, and I know her. Everything about her was in her face. When I went to see her this Saturday, I didn't recognize her at all. She just looked different. Her face looked, her skin looked really good, but she looked like, I suppose in one way, much more frail. What I'm trying to say is everything that I recognized as Audrey was gone. And I'm used to seeing this. And I thought, I know what that is. This is a lady who's, probably got just a few days or a few hours to live. And as you approach that point, in order to transition to your next life beyond this one, everything just starts to disappear. So all these things that we see and recognize and I identify as my personality, the things I would buy, the things I do, everything that makes me starts to fade. And it's sort of almost taken off your shoulders spiritually. And when my husband died, because he died in my arms, I'm not upset. I mean, it was like back in 1990, but what I remember was, so he had a brain tumor, and it was very apparent, it was a real big lump on his head. And what I was amazed at was the minute that he died, it just wasn't visible, that lump. It totally disappeared. So that was the lump, that the appearance of that had totally disappeared. And then his face, it just looked, I just didn't really recognize him. So when all this personality is dissolved, and we can die before we die, because that's what we're all talking about, really. That's the bottom line, dying before we die, is this this letting go. If we do let go, and we look so different. It's just very interesting to me, because we do, you're not alone, Lynn. We all do it. I mean, nobody's going to enjoy having their car trashed or their house burnt down or anything like that. And but that's, we don't have to worry about it. We don't have to worry about it. I mean, great masters who we revere as great masters have cried terribly when their, wives have died. I mean, we don't have to worry about too much about our identity and whether we're doing it properly. I think the message that I want to get across is not to worry about these things or strive or effort to get them right, but just to be aware of it, so that if we are very, very upset because our car's been trashed, yeah, we just absolutely, we understand ourselves that we feel like that, but we're just aware that we are getting upset about something we have attached ourselves to and we identify with. And it's the awareness that's important. Being aware of that might not necessarily change our feelings about it or our attachment, but the awareness is the important thing. Because when what we are when we call somebody or ourselves asleep is that we don't have that awareness. We're just attached. And there's not another layer of awareness of being attached. There's just attachment. But what we're doing here in all of the things that we're doing on this spiritual journey is just becoming aware of the fact that we're attached. That's the important thing. And that helps let go of the attachment as well, bit by bit. But we don't, this is Joni kindly said that what I'm trying to do, I think, in my work is be a bridge. What I'm trying to do is just take the angst out of all of this. So do you see, it's fine that we're attached to these things as long as we're aware that we're attached. because in that awareness, we often find that we can quite quickly let go of that attachment. And if we can't, that's all right, as long as we're just aware of it. So does that make sense? How's that?
Oh.
That made really sense, because when my dog died during the pandemic, it was kind of quickly, I was denying it was sick, and then at the last minute, the long story was I was able to get it into emergency, but I was afraid of this attachment to this death, from a financial reason. But I realized how much I didn't want the dog to die. So on the way, I grabbed my credit card and I said to the dog, you know, okay, I'm going to save your life no matter what, whatever it costs, $5,000, whatever. And when I got in there and I just surrendered to the present moment and started to let myself feel the feelings of worry and sadness and love and all those things. And I had the opportunity to experience something in that had nothing to do with the fact that this dog's body was no longer going to work. And I got to experience the love of these women who were there, and they took complete care of the dog and gifted me the complete ending of his life, and the $300 to put him to sleep and turn him, you know, dispose of him. And I got to witness that detachment and feel the hollowness of the body and get present with the love. And in that also, I was just, you know, flooded with love from Speakeasy, and because it was 8 in the morning when I finally did it, and everybody covered me and everybody was there to listen to me. And I got to experience that hollow shell as well as the flowing of the divine, the Christ in everything as perfect. And I didn't expect to have the extra help and financial help, and I didn't ask. I mean, I was in shock. I was like, here's the credit card, you know, do what you got to do. And they offered, you know, they said to me, we just want you to know we're paying for everything. And I just let go. You know, I let go of the outcome. I let go of the cost. I let go of the present moment. And I just felt, and it, you know, I had to slow down later because I probably wasn't grieving enough, but eventually I got another little puppy that I found a home for. And I see that dog as an opportunity to just practice love. You know, I get to take care of it. I get to practice love. And the attachment is to the love. The attachment is recognizing that the oneness of the human people who I haven't seen those doctors and people since, and how supportive my community can be. That was an experience that this little dog represented. And I think that that's really what I learned from losing my house, having old cars, having parents pass, having marriage ending. I'm learning that, you know, like we seek Mr. What's his name? You know, seek the helpers, Fred and, you know.
Rogers, do you mean
Mr.
Fred?
Rogers.
Yeah, Mr. Rogers.
Rogers.
Seek the helpers. You know, we're seeking the love. We're always looking for the love. And if I get tripped up by the ego's interpretation, I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss out on the love. So being a channel, being hollow, walking alongside in the world, and seeing the reflection of love, no matter what it looks like, was worth the experience. And all of it didn't turn out the way I expected, and we all know dogs die.
Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya.
That was coming from Dove.
Anyway, that's my story about, you know,
Oh, Joni, I've just got to say that that was just so beautifully put. And I love that you said when you said about the attachment to love, because that's great. I mean, yeah, let's be attached to love, not human love in that way, although it can come through the human, like you say, the people that were so absolutely totally loving, and I've had that experience when my own dog died. I know what you're talking about. But oh, that I just wanted to just say that was so beautiful. So thank you.
Thank you, Mandy. Thank you, Joni. And yeah, me too. I just so appreciate it, Joni, that uh, you have a clear understanding of so many things, and I'm just grateful that you're here with us and part of our family, because
Well,
you
most of
help me all the time.
well, the people that have introduced me and taught me are right here. So I have to thank you and Dove and Mandy and all the other people that are here. I wouldn't be aware if you weren't there to tell me, stop it. Wake up.
Well, you remind me of that all the time too. So that's the thing that's so cool about it. We're a family. Rafi, please go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up that the difference between attachment and appreciation. I don't have to be attached to anything to appreciate it. I'm not attached to my car, but I appreciate my car. I'm not attached to my health, but I appreciate my health. I'm not attached to my neighbors, but I appreciate my neighbors. And that appreciation, the synonym for appreciation is love and gratitude. And so when that clarity hit me, it made a significant difference.
I just
Thank you,
want
Rafi.
oh,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
Lynn. Sorry, Lynn. Did you want to
No, go
speak?
ahead. I was just thanking Rafi for
Yeah,
that.
thank you, Rafi, because I just love that, because you're so good at putting everything in a nutshell. That's it. Of course we appreciate these things, appreciating and yeah, exactly. And I love it before when you said about cut, because that's another example of what we can do with the mind. I never thought of that one before, and I used to do acting too. I was an actress for and although I didn't do film, so probably wouldn't have had that experience of cut. But that's a lovely thing that we can do when our thoughts are just going crackers, is just go cut. And then you don't look at it again. That's the secret, you see. You don't look at it and come back to it. You don't look at it and think, well, has it really gone? Or I was thinking about that so deeply. How can it have gone just like that? You don't think that thought. That's another thought. It's just cut, and particularly when we're hard on ourselves because we might have been a bit critical or judging. The minute that you're aware of that, if you went cut, you then don't have to try hard to make it better in some way. You're just not expanding it anymore. You're not making more of a drama of it. You're just going cut. I love that. Yeah, cut. It's a good one. But just going back to Joni, what you were saying. Well, it just what was I going to say about that? It's this thing that um we still do this shoulding on ourselves, that we should or we should not feel this or we should feel that, or we've been in this work so long, we should know better by now. So we need to get rid of those shoulds, and we all know that, don't we? We all know not to should on ourselves. But yeah, I know that I won't go into it because I already went into it the other week, that when my dog died as well, there was just an explosion of love from both the realms beyond and the realms here. And yeah, that deep appreciation of my dog. I mean, of course I was brokenhearted. I mean, Howard, he was like, I had him for 15 years since he was a puppy, and he was like my little soulmate. We really got each other, so it was terribly sad when he died. But you see, the thing is that there's nothing wrong with that. I didn't worry like, oh, is this attachment or is it not attachment? It was just an outpouring of absolute love. And then I realized something else, and forgive me if I said this the other week, and I'm sure I think I said it at the beginning, was that sometimes, I mean, it might be a year or two later, when I thought of him, I'd get really, really sad. And I thought, now, if I'm just thinking of him and I wasn't thinking of him a moment ago, I got the feeling he was actually there, you see. I'm sure I said this the other week. Forgive me if I said it. I did. Yeah, and then I got this message that that's what it means. Don't be sad because I am there. You're sad because you think I'm not there. Actually, the point is I am there, you know, because that we're not. It's all once it's been introduced to us, it's part of our infinite experience forever, isn't it? We can't lose anybody or anything, and we don't need to worry about attachment because we know what attachment likes. Is attachment makes you feel less than yourself. It makes you feel contracted in some way, and it's very painful. Appreciation, which is lovely, which is what Rafi said, is a very expansive thing. And because, yeah, like say a car, I give all my cars have got names. Everything's got a name. I think I've said this before. You know, Betty is my washing machine, and Rolly is my car. And it helps me to treat them with utter respect because I think that everything's alive. And so everything seems to work better and go on for years longer than it really should do because of that recognition. So yeah, definitely if somebody came to hurt you know, Rowley, bash him up a bit. Yeah, I'd be very upset about that. But it's I wouldn't worry about is this attachment or not. It's not really attachment. It's as you say, it's that deep love and deep appreciation. You see, we can tie ourselves in knots all the time with, oh, you know, is this ego? Is this attachment? Just forget all that, really. We just allow what, you know, it's what comes up in the moment, isn't it? It's just what arises in the moment. And that's true feeling. That's true non-duality, is embracing and accepting the feelings 100%. If that's what they are right now, maybe not as a memory. Oh, I remember how upset I was when the car. Well, then that's maybe attachment. That's kind of an attachment to a memory. But if right now somebody's beating my car and you know all sorts of feelings arise, then that's right now in the moment. That's just true honesty, and that's okay. I know that that's for now. I know, as we all know, this too will pass. If we hold on to worrying about how we're going to feel in an hour later or a day later, then we're attached again. So there's this kind of little difference to it. That's all I would say. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mandy. And yeah, I don't know. I see Joni's hand up, and I'll give it to you in just a sec. And I wanted to, you know, I'm thinking, you know, if I looked out and saw someone beating up my car, would I be, you know, I think I would go through a lot of different things. You know, one being obviously wanting to protect myself and my vehicle and my property and whatever. But then also, I would have to ask the question, you know, why is this person doing this, and what is happening with this guy or this person, whatever, what is happening with them? You know, to love one more than the other, to love the car more than the person, to be more concerned about the car than the person. I think that's another indicator too of, you know, what kind of stage of awakening we're in or whatever. Because for me, I know that I would be very concerned about that person. I would be very concerned about that person, you know, what was happening with them, why they were in that situation, why they would be doing a thing like that. You know, what can I do to help ease their suffering, whatever that may be? what, how, and I might not do anything to ease their suffering other than, love them and see that, whatever they're doing, it's, not their fault. It's something that's happening through their process too. And instead of condemning them, to just loving them, I think is the more helpful thing to do. Mandi, please go ahead.
Oh, excuse me, Joni, just for 1 second, just because we're Angie. You see, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. And I'm not saying, please always know that when I speak, Lynn, I am not saying I'm an authority or no one way or the other. But, just because, like you, and I've listened to Joel Goldsmith for so many years, and particularly Herb Fitch. Sometimes the student even expands more than the previous teacher. He is brilliant, Herb Fitch. And so I think what's happening there is it sounds like it's love and compassionate. But again, we're overcomplicating things a bit. We're getting the mind involved. There's even a thought that I should be thinking about this other person. Possibly, I'm not saying that it would. But it's really seeing that there's no person there that can even inhabit that anger. So if we were actually, I suppose because you've moved it on, I was thinking that I'd see the crash later, that somebody's been. So you're talking about if we're seeing somebody actually doing it. So I think it would be more, rather than trying to get involved with, well, what sort of a life has he had, and poor thing, he's suffering because otherwise he wouldn't be doing this. That's one level. But I suppose a more expansive way is seeing it's actually happening, because I've seen it, like I was telling you about the dog being attacked the other week, that if you can at that moment, if I can at that moment see that whatever appears to be the case, it can't be the case, because there's actually no person out there who can inhabit that anger. So there was a wonderful thing I was listening to the other day by Herb about this. It was about I've forgotten what it was about. I can send you the link, but anyway, and it was about that when we see evil in the world, what is world work? You see, that's what he's asking. What is really world work? Is it thinking that we have to do something about it, feel sorry for the people, start loving them, or is it seeing that there aren't any people, there isn't any evil because there's only God, and so there aren't any people that can inhabit evil. Evil is not inhabited in a person, therefore it doesn't exist. Only God exists. Do you see what I mean? It's sort of
Yes.
so that's what
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's not, that, I'm looking and feeling sad for that person, but I'm looking at, well, first, you're right. Exactly. What is it in me that is, is wanting to bash things up? Or how is it in me that I'm seeing this thing in front of me, and uh, not seeing it as a reflection of my own thinking, because that's really what it is a reflection of my own thinking at some level. So yeah, the only place that you can do the repair work, if there is such a thing, is internally. You have to go within and ask, why am I seeing this? And you don't have to have an answer. It doesn't have to, well, you're seeing this because you think this and you don't have to even get an answer. You just have to ask the question and recognize that I'm responsible for the world I see, and being responsible for the world I see, whatever that happens to be, it's my own self that I have to deal with, and not something that appears outside of me. So thank you for that, Mandi. I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to share, or anyone else have anything they'd like to share.
Yeah, I was listening to Kurt, and he was, again, this poem is a real bridge for me, because Kurt was saying, always ask what the purpose is. So what is the purpose of the car? What's the purpose of the body? What's the purpose of why I eat? It's always, what is the purpose to take the dog to the vet? The purpose according to the course or what I'm trying on being is another opportunity to love. So if I have a cup or my hands or the most exquisite vase and I'm getting water to drink and nourish myself, the purpose is, the vehicle is a hollow, jar, cup, or whatever, for the purpose of nourishing, for the purpose ultimately of extending love. And it's easier if I ask God to give me the guidance, Holy Spirit. But if God can use it, even if I'm, Kurt was saying, the purpose to eat is not to get in the vehicle so you can go to work to make money. It's because the purpose is to spread love wherever you're going. So that's on the road to get there. That's in the job. It's when you come home. All these are opportunities in the world to extend the light, recognize the reflection. And when I don't, the pain, the word that I judge, the ego judges as wrong or a grievance, they're just a call for love, opportunities to take to Holy Spirit and transform that into love. So the practice for me in this bridging I so love, as I listen to the book over and over, is to remind me what ultimately my purpose is in this world. Obviously waking up and forgiveness and all that, but I still gotta cook a meal. I still have to take the dog to the vet. I still have to get a job to pay the bills. But I can use those vehicles to see the light and to see the and when I'm sad or grieving, to love myself, to be that instrument of love no matter what. So that's why I do like Mandi and have a girl crush, but I like her book because I get to rethink these things in a way that allows the love and the Christ light to shine through. So thanks.
So well shared. Thanks.
Thank you, Joni. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to share? I couldn't help but agree with you completely, Joni, that no matter what, that love is the only motivation for anything. For me, it's the only motivation for anything. And as I hone myself more and more, I recognize that is what actually gives me more joy than anything too, is being able to feel the love, see the love, experience the love. And, obviously I'm projecting the love. So, that brings so much more joy than looking around and saying, what's wrong with this world and what's wrong with me and what's wrong with you, and which has been the chant that my family where I grew up, that was the main thing people would say to you, what's wrong with you? I guess to me a lot because I was different, but what's wrong with you?
I'm exhausted with my ego, the complaints I've had and the stories I told, because it was just a habit or an addiction. And what I like about what we're doing now in this moment is by respecting how we got here and what we're doing and choosing again, there's a lot of good, fun, loving happiness that goes on if I can get over myself and stop it, like what's his name, the other one that just passed,
Bob Newhart.
Yeah. Did you ever see that, Mandi, where he does a skit
He's
with
my favorite. Has he died? Oh, I
Yes.
love Bob Newhart. I'm his biggest fan since being little. Oh, Sorry,
he
carry
finally passed, but his thing was, just stop it. I'm going to have to charge you for this. And she starts over again, telling about all her grievances and everything. And he just looks, he goes, I'm going to tell you my best advice, and I'm still going to charge you. Just stop it. You know, and then we forgive ourselves that we're doing that, which is what, you know, Rafi said and stuff. And move and choose appreciation, choose gratitude. There's always something to look at or notice or see. You know, those painters back in the day when they didn't have digital and all the wonderful things we have now, they would paint. Remember the Byzantines? They'd paint the halos on all the saints and stuff. It's because they're seeing past the vehicle, the hollowness. They're seeing the light in beyond the situations that they went through. And if I could see halos everywhere and laugh, of course, Dove, we, you know, just laugh. And you know, I put it up again, my Dove's tombstone, but we're always just talking about ourselves, to ourselves. We're looking in that mirror. Do I want to see the mirror that of love, or do I want to see the ugliness that my ego mind is got a habit of? You know, it's just a habit and an addiction. And I get to choose every moment when I am aware. And so thanks. Anyway, I'm a big fan.
Thank you so much, Joni, for mentioning halos. I just want to, I posted in the chat the halo that Mandi painted of my halo. And do you want to share anything on that?
Mandi, did you do that? Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Yes, Dove, thank you so much for mentioning that. Well, yes, I've got a page on my website. My website's called healingbyrevealingsoul.com. And on one of the pages, it's all about halo. Yeah, and I started to see halos about 30 or 40 years ago. They're not the same as auras, very, very different. The halo is something that's got incredible intricate patterns in that. I mean, I tried to find a teacher when I started seeing these halos to teach me what all the different shapes meant. And I absolutely spent, and still every so often, have been doing research for years to try and find somebody. The only thing that I found in some teacher's thing, finally, after years, it was just one sentence. It said, nobody in this dimension, in this incarnated dimension, can possibly see halos. It's only if they're from another dimension. Which, you know, and I mean that most humbly. There's nothing to show off about that, because all it left me with was that there isn't anybody then that can. And if I'm from another dimension, I don't know about it. So what? All I know is that I can see these halos and these shapes and colors. And everybody's is completely different. And so spirit has taught me bit by bit. I'd say to them, for instance, why is there a triangle in this person's halo? Or why is there a circle? And what do they mean? And because really, spirit said to me, when you've drawn somebody's halo, it's for them to resonate with it. It's not really my business, not your business, Mandi, to know why those particular shapes are. So we're just going to drip feed you a little bit at a time. So it said to me, for instance, if you see triangles, that's no, diamond shapes in somebody's halo, that means they're a teacher of some kind. And then that reminded me of when you graduate, you wear a diamond shape, call a mortarboard a diamond shape. And then there's different shapes and different colors. And what I've gathered from what they teach me is that it's evolved over lifetimes, you see. So everybody's is completely unique. So that's one of the things I do. So for my paid work, I do mentoring, spiritual mentoring, but I also draw these halos because they take quite a lot out of me to do, a lot of time to do. But I absolutely love doing them because and I teach workshops. I try and teach people how to do it. But the main thing is this, that when you start to look above somebody's head, when you deliberately look above somebody's head with soft eyes, you let your eyes go soft and slightly blurred, you just fall in love with them. So there's something that happens that you engage with when you start to look above somebody's head. And I can't remember whether I've talked about this before. I won't go into it very long, but I would love everybody to see halos, because if they, or just start looking above everybody's head. I mean, you can't do that when you're having a conversation directly with somebody, because it actually looks like you're falling in love with them, and it looks a bit weird because you're suddenly looking at somebody and then you're going. So you've got to kind of do it when they're looking away. You've just got to have a sneak look many times. But it really works if you're getting a bit upset, sad, hurt, or exasperated with anybody. I don't know. All you have to do is just soften your gaze and look above their head when they're not looking. And your heart opens and you just feel all this love. And then if you wanted to draw the halo, what starts to happen is sometimes as you look and then look back and look again, or look at a photograph of them, shapes and colours seem to occur to you. But the question is, why do they occur to you? Why that specific shape and why that specific colour? So it's something that comes through you when you just completely let go. So for me to do one is a lovely feeling of surrender. And when I do one for somebody who's in front of me, let's say they come and they have it done here, they say they experience massive love, because I suppose it's God looking at them through God's glasses. You could put it like that, rather than the human mortal looking at them. So yeah, it's a bit hard to describe. I don't know if I've done a very good job there. Thank you for listening. And thank you, Dov, for being so kind as to mention it.
Thank you for painting it. I showed it to my granddaughter, who loves your book. I sent her your book, and she says, I'm into these kind of poetry, and she takes each one as like a huge lesson for her. And then I showed her this, and she said, "Oh my God!" So how does one get to send you their picture?
Yes, so if they go on my website, there's a page that says Halo. It either says halos or halo gazing, and then the instructions of what they do come up. So do you see? Yeah, there's halo gazing. Thank you for bringing that up. If you press on halo gazing, then there's a video, and there's also where I'm being interviewed by somebody, and then there's an example of the kind of photo somebody would need to send me. And that's an example. There's some example of some halos, and then further
See,
down.
beautiful Rod friend.
Oh my God,
He just
I'm
passed.
Rod. So, do you know, at 11 o'clock on Wednesday morning, he just appeared to me in the bathroom, and he went, "Hi, Mandy," and I went, "Oh, hello, Rod." And then later on, I read on Facebook that he died, and we'd become such friends. And oh, you know, lovely, lovely man. And there's Alice, you see, next to him. And his was amazing because his was like stained glass. And of course, that's what he's done. Loads of his beautiful stained glass pictures.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
beautiful. And I can't find mine. I don't know what happened. I know I have it. It's somewhere in my
I'll have it somewhere because I could keep them all in an album, so I'll have to find it,
send
you
it
know.
to me again. And if anybody wanted to watch this little video, it's only what 30 some minutes, even that long. I don't know. We could watch that at some time as well.
You actually played it the other day. It was
I did, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and when you look at that page and you go further down, that lovely man that's interviewing me, there's a picture of him. It as an example of what you would send to me. So you would send you'd go onto my contact page, get the email address, and send me a photograph. And there should be something on that page about how the photograph should be. Well, basically, you need a photo where there's enough space above your head so that I can actually draw in the halo, you see. And then once I've done the halo, then I email it to the person. Yeah. So it's all in that, all in that page. Yeah.
Quite a little process actually that you go through, because it's not, I mean, you don't just draw this, you do it with software and
lots of apps. Yeah, it's quite an involved process. Yeah, I mean, I just never know what's going to be revealed. It's so exciting. But what you're seeing is somebody's, it's the beauty of their soul, and of course it spreads way beyond the picture, you know. And but as the years have gone on, Lynn, I've been able to refine it a bit more. So the ones I started doing, when I did yours, I was a bit new at that. So maybe I'll do it again sometime, because I'll be able to see a bit more now than I used to be able to see. Because like anything, it's a skill that I'm always being, you know, learning.
well, for me, it's just was just lovely to see, because I know, well, and it's in that video. Actually my picture is in that video that I saw it the other day, and I'm like, well, there it is. Anyway, does anybody else have any thoughts? And some people are being very quiet, so I want to give everyone a chance to share if they have anything they'd like to share. Carrie, please, I'd love to hear you.
No, I just want to say, going back to the poem, what I really liked about the poem was, because it's so easy to forget that there's no one there. And so the inner critic of like, oh, I should be more like this or less like this, or why did I say it this way? I should have said it this way. It didn't come out right. When you do remember, and it's not always so easy, but when you do remember, it feels like a heaviness is lifted, like a burden is lifted, with the understanding that it's not personal. And that doesn't mean you can't do something like, for example, I want to be more patient with people, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You could still do that, but without the judgment of it, it's just, it really lightens things.
Oh, Carrie, that's absolutely great, because if you've got that, then that's it. See, you've got the whole book, because it's really about just getting rid of all this judgment. You know, all this judgment that we have, it just doesn't serve us at all. It doesn't make us any better spiritually. It actually gets in the way. I mean, you know, impatience arises. It just arises. It's just part of living a human life. Impatience arises. And you know, like I remember when I used to play in folk clubs that we had in England, folk clubs, and going to see somebody, either it might be a man who's written a song with 27 verses about how hard done by he's been by his last 3 girlfriends, or or else it would be a lady singing in a very sort of high-pitched voice, just strumming a couple of chords endlessly. And I used to get terribly frustrated, you know, and you know, and I used to think then afterwards, oh, what a terrible person I was. But I realized that those feelings are not personal at all. You know, yes, I'd have preferred not to feel like that. I would have preferred to be so much more expansive, but that wouldn't have been true, because I was irritated. You know, if you're irritated, there's fine. There's beauty in being irritated. How can there be beauty in being irritated when you don't beat yourself up against about it, and when you don't allow it to continue by being irritated because you're irritated? You see, every time you load something like, well, I'm irritated or I'm impatient. Now, if you then put on yourself, but I'm a really horrible person that I feel impatient, and I should feel loving because particularly because I'm, you know, following a spiritual path. Well, you know, you've just made a massive drama out of it. Now it's going to take you 4 times longer to let go of the impatience and irritability, because you just put on yourself that you shouldn't feel like that. And then what happens is you get resentful about the fact that you feel you shouldn't feel like that. It actually snowballs. So yeah, as long as we're alive, you know, various feelings will come up. And as long as we drop the idea that one thing is more pleasant than another, one thing is more acceptable than another, if we just drop that and it just is as it is, then, you know, you can let go of your irritation like so much quicker anyway. And then you don't go home feeling bad because you weren't as wonderful as you thought you were. It's just not loading ourselves with the guilt about it. That's actually forgiveness. That's true forgiveness in every moment, is not adding layers of self-criticism onto things that just naturally arise in the moment. So just give yourself a break. That's what I say.
Well,
And you obviously are, because you've heard that right.
and
Thank you, Mandy.
everything in the dream is neutral. It's only the meaning I give it. So, you know, it's, again, you know, just stop it, go to silence. And if there's something for me to know underneath that, you know, great. But sometimes loving myself is just feeling the feelings and then letting it go, you know, because it is happening. It is present. It just only meaning is, you know, the suffering comes from when I'm attached to the meaning my ego's giving it, the judgments, the grievances, or even the, you know, the good feeling things. It's just is. And in that peace, I can have the joy of God's will. That's what I'm trying anyway, because my ego doesn't do it even what I want. I do want to say that I tried an experiment. It bothered me. When I was at the art fair, I saw these dogs that on leashes, and I remembered distinctly that there was an ordinance that said not to bring the dogs with the leashes because they trip people, right? So I'm noticing it because I haven't been to the art fair for a long time. And I'm like acting like this to my friend, cousin. I'm acting like I know it all. You know, it's like this, they're going to get a ticket. You know, my sister was working, she's retired, to give them a ticket. That's dangerous, whatever. But then I realized that I knew it was the ego because it spoke first and loudest. And I went, what if that's not true? I don't know why it wouldn't be true, but I thought, what if, you know, who are you, ego? Just stop it. Well, I did get home and look it up, and they did change the ordinance that, you know, people could bring them. And I thought, you know, I almost can pretty much count on the ego's wrong about everything. So the sooner I just laugh at it, the sooner I stop it and just, you know, go to silence. Look, wait, and judge not is, and the pause, you know, Marilyn, in pause, then I have the greatest opportunity to see the light or the love that really is there behind all of it. So
That's so beautiful, Joni. And that's it exactly. Is, well, first off, replying back to Mandy when she was talking about the um you know, going to the club, and you know, the people singing. I really had to laugh, because that's a major, you know, it's one of my things too, is, you know, you know, I used to do a lot of listening to other people singing and holding them to a standard. Um, you know, I thought I knew, you know, how it should sound. So if it didn't sound this particular way, then there's something wrong. And you know, I just came to realize that uh, whatever song you sing, it's the most beautiful song in the world. I think about that Karen Carpenter song, sing a song, sing it loud, sing out loud. Don't worry that you're not good enough for anyone else to hear. Just sing your song. And you know, I think about that, you know, that no matter who they are, what they're singing, and or how off key they are, or how they forgot the tune, or how they forgot the words, or whatever it was that, my old self who thought they knew how everything should be would have been over here cringing about, I mean, I'm disgusted with myself when I think about it because because that's not up to me to judge a song. It's up to me to appreciate the singer and what they're doing. They're up there singing a song, and my mother used to always tell me this. Always used to tell me this whenever I would criticize anybody I heard singing. Well, they're on television. You're not. Well, they're making a record. You're not. So I was always given this idea that, from her, it didn't matter to me because, they're off key. I hear it. Whether they're on TV or not, that just means that, people watching television have low standards. Honestly, it just kills me when I think about it because, now it doesn't matter who's singing or what they're singing or how ridiculous it may sound to the senses who've been trained to hear a thing a certain way. Uh, you can listen to music from, African tribal music or Peruvian mountain music or country western music or whatever kind of music you listen to, you can love it even if it sounds totally different than anything you've ever heard before, because it's the voice, it's the singing from the heart of these people, and that's where it comes from. It's the heart. It's not the vocal cords, and it's not the melody. It's the heart of the person. Mandy, please go ahead.
I absolutely agree. I was just really using it as an example as not beating yourself up though when those feelings arise. I mean, I used to be dreadful. I mean, that doesn't happen now. Maybe it does. I don't know. If I saw somebody doing it again, I don't know that. I can't say that if I'd be so magnanimous as you just described. I really hope I would, because that sounds just absolutely lovely. But yeah, I used to totally hold people to a standard. I really did, and thought that I really knew. And I used to think, well, I had the opposite point of view. I used to think, well, if you're going to sit in front of people and spend and ask them to spend 10 or 15 minutes of their time listening to you, the least you can do is actually learn your craft and get better at it. I mean, that's the opposite of that. I just used to think that, and I don't know. Sometimes I still do think that, but I don't mind that. I think that I just don't mind that. I think that. I think that's the thing. I think what I was really sort of trying to get across is that however we are, whether we're sharp, abrasive, incredibly compassionate, or loving, we are absolutely all the same, in that we are this beautiful being. And part of that beauty is any way that we show up and at the time, But I love what you said about not holding people to a standard. I love that sentence, because I definitely did do that, and I totally see that when I look back. And yeah, and really, it's not a great thing to do. But whether it's a great thing to do or not, I suppose I just want everybody to stop beating themselves up, no matter what. What their opinions been, that the point is not to carry on like that, because if you've got awareness, it's like we were saying at the beginning, the point is to have awareness about your behavior, because when you got awareness about it, you tend to not carry it on. But you can leave out the part where you beat yourself up because you're then holding yourself to a standard. We can't be doing this all the time. It's exhausting. So that's really what I wanted to say about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What I'd like to add is, being someone who had to pay people to do something, in my businesses or my daycare or my photography, whatever. What I've learned is I can have my expertise, I can have my preferences, but by being aware of the heart and the energy and the love, I can either correct with connection, but from a loving point of view after I've consulted with Holy Spirit, or I can attack out of fear and judgment. And, that doesn't take away from the fact that we are all one, that we are all love, that we are all spirit. But it does allow me the opportunity to extend a correction or a helpfulness, like you said. It is the energy that I'm guided to be that channel for. Kurt uses the example always of, somebody is hurting themselves with alcohol, and you have a judgment of, you don't go to bars, but or whatever, but you might be guided to still go to a bar to have a conversation with this person, and the conversation would be guided out of love and helpfulness versus condemning. So I do see that we can have information in the world, we can have preferences in the world, but we still, because we are all light, because we're all love for ourselves as well. But the guidance comes from the silence that says, what is mine to say? Because when I wait and don't judge until I'm guided, and that was that other, whatever lesson it is that says, we don't make plans. Yeah, we don't make plans, but we do. The next sentence says, but we go to the one who does know what the plan is. We may not need to judge our person singing, but we can be guided in love to help it give something. And when Kurt said that, like, yeah, maybe, and I think one of our teachers tells the story of, the kid kept in the basement, kept drinking and harming themselves until she went to Holy Spirit after ego exhaustion. And then it was like, out of love, you're not going to be able to stay here. You either go to rehab or you go to the homeless shelter. And you can do that in love and not in judgment if you're guided from the Holy Spirit. But if you do it out of fear, then you attack. You can't be here because I have a thing against alcohol. So I just want to say that I'm getting more, this going back to your poem, that in this hollowness, in this seeing the love beyond the behaviors or the skin meat suit is all about consulting, for me, the silence. And I can't do that unless I stop the ego and turn my other cheek towards God's or the divine guidance, rather than listening to the ego, that's just always going to lead me down a very judgy, nasty path, and it won't be even helpful. So I see that it's all about consulting the present moment. And in that present moment, as we start our prayer every day, there are endless solutions, miraculous encounters, miracle ideas, all in the present moment, if I choose to listen to that instead of the fear from the past and the worries of the future past.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joni. Yeah, wow. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to share? That was just perfect, Joni. I love that.
A lot of it was Kurt,
Yeah, I had to go re-listen to that, Kurt. I was listening to part of it yesterday and had to go and re-listen to it because it was so good, so wonderful. And he was a Joel Goldsmith student also before he started studying A Course in Miracles. So, yeah, that certainly does bring about straight-minded thinking.
I love that he was a Baptist Sons preacher thingy, like he came from the Bible stomping South. And so he helps explain Bible stuff. I that's been helpful too, because it was fear. Everything was about fear. And if you look at something in fear, you're going to get a different interpretation than when you look at it from acceptance and peace, love and neutrality. And then God's loving interpretation will be, you can look at the same thing two different ways, and I just know that I have a default to ego that I'm trying to undo, and I have to practice every time I'm aware. So
That's it. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to share? I think I'm going to reread the poem. So Rafi, yes, please go ahead, and then Mandi.
I fortunately I have to leave. I have an appointment, but I just wanted to share. She uses the word channel. I use the word conduit. That we are all divine conduits, and it is God or the divine expressing through us as us, and that's how we serve. So we're all here serving perfectly. All we have to do is show up, and you can't not show up. Even if you think you're not showing up, you're showing up, and that we are all divine conduits is the omnipresence. That is the only reality, and I loved that I was able to partake today of this, because it was just adds to the enlightening, the awakening. That is the only purpose. Thank you so very, very much.
Thank you, Rafi, so very, very much too. And gosh, yeah, you're such an inspiration for me as well. Thank you, Rafi. Mandi, please go ahead.
I love that word conduit. That's lovely, isn't it? Well, I just wanted to say what Dov said at the beginning, actually, is that I just couldn't wait to come on today. I just love you guys, and I am very, very grateful for this opportunity of being with you all. I just love you so much, and it's just a blessing. Honestly, I feel totally humbled and very blessed to be here and to get to know you all. I really do. So thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Lynn, for having had the idea to do it. Thank you so much. Honestly, it's great.
That is great. So thank you, Mandi, for being available and for writing this beautiful book, and for being the open mind that you are. I love it, love it, love it, love it. So let me get back to the poem. All right, that should be okay. So this time, and Mandi, did you have something else to say? I'm just putting your hand down. Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. So this time I'm going to read the poem slowly, and we will stop in between certain sections to have a moment to think, or to consider, to contemplate, and then afterwards we can chat a little more, maybe some more waking up, and then we have another poem to close us out. So let us go here. Let me put these things down that are in the way. All right. Check all this stuff out real quick before I start. I'm just closing down everybody's mic so we don't hear barking dogs and ringing phones. All right. You are hollow. You think you are a person with a personality, but actually you're hollow. That's the reality. A false identity, echoing thoughts and projections of false memories not lived, just mental perceptions. If you strip away all your ideas of who you think you are, you'll see just a hologram, an invisible star that looks so real from far enough away. but seen up close, an illusion, a display. So who are you really? Who gets angry or feels sad or becomes elated? Just who is it who feels glad when you drop everything away? All descriptions and roles you play of who you think you are in your mind, but now, leaving all memories behind, there's no one, just infinite expanse, acting out a human dance as you walk blindly in a trance, believing every circumstance. But how to break this hypnotic spell? Live your life in parallel. Consciously witness all you're doing and saying without judgment. Notice how you're conveying your interactions and all your distractions. Watch your addiction to the internal conversation, which is full of useless information. But parallel living isn't living in duality. Rather, it's expansion into active neutrality. Yet this neutral awareness is unlimited bliss. Just 1 second's enough to feel the kiss of love, true love, which constitutes your soul. To live as this light is your purpose, your role. And just take another minute to think about, to contemplate, what is my role? Who do I think I am? Can I take this world impersonally? Can I see this differently? How to break this hypnotic spell? Live your life in parallel. Consciously witness all you're doing and saying without judgment. Notice how you're conveying your interactions and all your distractions. Watch your addiction to the internal conversation, which is full of useless information. But parallel living isn't living in duality. Rather, it's expansion into active neutrality. what we've been speaking of this past hour or so is living in neutrality, active neutrality, and experiencing true love, which is what we really are, and living as the light, not looking for the light, not hoping for the light, living as the light. Anyone has anything that they'd like to share at this time? And isn't this just the total description of the miracle worker?
Yes. Feel totally open-minded.
Exactly. Joni, did you want to share something?
I gotta go. So I wanted to say goodbye and thank you.
Oh, thank you for being here, sweetheart.
Okay.
I'm
See ya.
grateful for you. You know that. Bye-bye, my friend.
Have a blessed day is what I was gonna write.
Absolutely. Bless us all.
I think that possibly there's not a lot to say because everybody's contributions were so wonderful that we've really thoroughly explored it, haven't we? And it was just lovely what everybody said. I learned so much. It was just lovely. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I mean, people just, they're getting it. They get it. It's so cool. I love it. So let's see. I'm checking to see if we have stuff in the chat. Oh, that was Joni saying she had to go.
Okay. I'm going to say bye also. See you next
Hi,
time.
Dove. Lovely to see you. Thank you.
You see you in a bit, a little bit. Dove will be back for chapter 25, the justice of God, in a couple hours. So
That's at 2:00. That's
yeah,
about 2 hours from now.
yeah, it's about 2 hours from now.
Love you.
So thank you, Dove. Love you, brother. So Mandy, would you like to read? Is the last one you want to read? I am my creator are one.
Yes, we'll just finish with that if that's all
right.
right. You're all right to put that up there.
I'm going to put
Thank
that up right now.
Thank you
Just
so
have to
much.
say, this is so pleasant for me. I can hardly
Oh,
wait to see you in actual person. It's going to be so wonderful.
oh, can't wait. Oh. Okay, we'll just finish with this then. Thank you so much. I and my creator are one. I and my creator are one, as a ray emanates from the sun. Indivisible from love, I am coalesced, expressed, caressed, and deeply blessed. Amen. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Mandy.
Oh,
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and close us out.
well,
And
thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. It's lovely, everybody. And thank you, Lynn, so much.
thank you, Mandy. Thank you, everyone. I love you all so much.
You too.
We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.